Good morning everyone and welcome back yet again to another daily update video. My name is CryptoStash, welcome back on my channel. I hope you're having an amazing new week. Currently it is Monday and let's get right into the charts, as Bitcoin right now has lost 2 times and has bounced, as you can see right here, from the new weekly pivot S1, basically 111k, which Bitcoin did had like a capitulation week yesterday. On Sunday you can see we did, if we go down on a lower time frame, basically you can see this capitulation week right here. On the lower time frame we dropped down 3.6% basically in just one candle, as you can see right here, and then price recovered, but sentiment, the current trend right now, as you can see, is still to the downside. Bitcoin is still pushing lower, trying to recover. As you can see, if we go on the daily time frame, we are currently breaking structure. You can see we're putting in lower lows and higher lows, as you can see on the higher time frame, which is not good, but we might wanna see that 105k to 104k region, which is very important, this support in my opinion. And let me tell you why that is. Basically from the top down to this support to 104k, let's say, as you can see, we have around $20,000 in price change, basically $20,000 correction. It's 16.2%. $20,000 is a pretty massive correction. Basically, you can see if we go back on the 2024 chart right here, we went from 69, basically 70k, all the way down to 48k, which was exactly almost 20 to 21 $1,000 correction, which back then was 30%, since, as you know, the lower the price is, the more the volatility, the more the percentages are. But basically right now, if Bitcoin drops down $20,000, I would be looking to flip bullish, since $20,000 correction is basically very big correction. As you can see, if we drop down to right here, we would have basically $20,000 correction, and even better, if we go down all the way to the low 100Ks, we would have a massive correction of around $26,000, which would be 21%, which is where I will be flipping very bullish if, as I said, this previous all-time high right here is broken and we go straight down to 104k to 5k is basically my first bullish scenario for Bitcoin. And if this level doesn't hold, then I will give it another 6k to the downside, and basically when we have over $25,000 of a correction, this is when I will be looking to flip into some long positions, as you know, and accumulate some more on spot, even altcoins, and of course Bitcoin. As always, as you know, Bitcoin is the only one that matters in this market, basically. So we are looking at Bitcoin. If we look at the liquidation heat map, let me just go on a hard time frame for the liquidity. We can see yesterday, I think exactly with this week, we did swap a lot of liquidity at 112k. Then we got a nice bullish SFP on the downside, basically, and we pumped right now, I think 2-3% to the upside. So price still recovering, but I think we do still have more liquidity which is sitting to the downside. If we look on a hard time frame, as I said in my previous videos, we do have liquidity all the way down to 103, 104k, and right here we have a gap where there is not much of liquidity sitting. So maybe if price manages to get down there, it is possible that we slice right through this gap and maybe we go down for some of the lower liquidations. But as I said, it is very unlikely that we go all the way down to 92, maybe 92, maybe, but all the way down to 82 or back here at 70. This is very unlikely in my opinion. For lower like 60, we don't even talk about this prices right now. It's just not important. So basically first target 104. If 104k does not hold, 92k to 93k is very important price target. Also, if I'm not mistaken, on the semi future chart we do have a gap right here, I think, which has not been filled at 93k. If we look at it, 90 to 93k, we have a gap which, if we measure from the top all the way down there, that would be a very strong drop to the downside, 26%, which would be $33,000 correction, which is a massive correction. If we go all the way down there, I am expecting everybody to be very, very fearful, and this is when Bitcoin will potentially start pushing to the upside, and this is where we will finally reach that $150,000 target for Bitcoin. So basically the CME chart is very, very important to watch for gaps and such basically. So if you look at Ethereum right now, Ethereum currently, after rejecting basically from the older all-time high, we could not close above this all-time high, and price did see a rejection, a bearish swing fail pattern, which took us down 8.3%. As you can see on the daily, it is not looking right now. Ethereum, if I may say, Ethereum is currently looking better actually than Bitcoin. We're still yet on the weekly time frame to absolutely far away from this 4-yearly resistance back from 2021. Now the RSI is a bit concerning, since the RSI is sitting slightly above the 70 line, being overbought right now on the weekly time frame, which is something we need to look out for. On the monthly, we are currently approaching it, but we still have some more time until the monthly RSI gets overbought, which is what is giving me hope. Basically, right now Ethereum still holding above the weekly pivot. If we go on a lower time frame, basically you can see we are trying to hold above this weekly pivot, currently fitting it as support. Basically, we need to hold it as support in order for us to see some more upside continuation. Solana is also struggling around the weekly pivot. You can see basically we are currently trading below it. We want to see Solana reclaim that weekly pivot in order for more upside continuation. Sui is way below that weekly pivot. You can see we want to see a potential bounce from the S1 that would take us all the way up to the weekly pivot and potentially a retest, and then maybe we can see if we fail to reclaim that weekly pivot for Sui, then basically I'm seeing a rejection, a continuation to the downside basically. But what is still giving me hope is that Bitcoin dominance. You can see on the daily time frame, we are right now bouncing a bit, but we did also bounce right here for 2 days, right here also for 2 days. So maybe we are getting some kind of a retest on the Bitcoin dominance. You can see from that weekly pivot or the R1, and then once we start dropping again, I would be feeling much better longing the altcoins. But as of right now, we want to be careful. Hype also doing all right. Hype is the only one I think right now which is above the weekly pivot. Let me look at XRP. Yeah, Hype is right now the only one, and Ethereum also, which are holding strong above that weekly pivot. Basically 4% to the upside right now for Hype, which is very nice. If we look at the Bitcoin ETF inflows, I don't think we still got data for today since it is Monday, but I do think that maybe we will see another sell-off, since right now sentiment seems to be shifting to the downside for Bitcoin. Fear and Greed Index, let me check if we are still at 50. We are still in that neutral. We've yet to go down into that fear zone, but in my opinion, in order for us to go down to that fear zone, we want to see Bitcoin potentially go, as I said, all the way down to below 104k. This is where everybody will get scared, below 100k, and then we will see a massive rally to the upside. Now, something that's very important to look at, basically the stock market right now is looking pretty nice. The S&P 500 is nicely continuing to the upside, trading above our weekly pivot. You can see right here basically is this is very nice. We want to see the stock market hold above that weekly pivot and potentially put in a new high to the upside. The same goes for the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq still far below the S&P 500, is very close to the all-time high. The Nasdaq still has 1 to 2%, let me see, 1.8% until its all-time high. So very likely, in my opinion, if the stock market starts pushing, that we potentially see newer all-time highs for the stock market, or maybe we will see some kind of a rejection, a continuation of this downtrend, which is, in my opinion, for the stock market right now, unlikely. It depends what news comes out. We do have some news which will affect, I think, PCI index. This was for the inflation again, and also for the dollar it was important. Income spending, we do have some data coming in on the 29th. I think this is falls on Friday, so we do have some important news also coming out this week, so we want to be careful. As I said, let me see, long versus shorts ratio on the major exchanges, we do have currently way more shorts into the market, which also tells you that the sentiment is still leaning bearish. So we wanna wait for a bigger confirmation. We wanna see institutions like BlackRock still start pushing in millions again in Bitcoin before we look for another trades, guys. This is very important to follow the sentiment, as I always tell you. And yeah, this will be it basically for today's update video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for the channel, and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.